Welcome to Business Fans Only. My name is Renaud and I'm going to be the host for you for today. And we got a cool and interesting topic. The Super Bowl just wrapped up and a lot of people are interested in wondering, how the heck do these guys get paid? Let's find out on today's show. Brought to you by
Business Fans Only. This podcast is on fire. Finally, a home for fans of the business world.
When the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, everybody on that 53-man squad got an extra $300,000. Now that's motivation for you, isn't it? But we're gonna break down this recent Super Bowl where it kind of breaks down how much they get paid, where they got paid, and when they got paid. And we're gonna talk about more things too, such as rings and things. All right, let's keep this show moving. Here is the breakdown per round when you make it to the playoffs. And this was the agreed upon funds from the NFLPA, which is the Players Association. Division winners in the playoffs, they get $42,500. That's pretty nice, right? But if you're in the wild card, you get $37,500 for winning that. What about those teams that make it to the conference games? Well, that's an extra $65,000 coming down the pipeline, and as a nice, cool paycheck that goes right into your pocket. Because you're working hard for that conference, and it's not an easy game. And when you do win it, you're gonna get that $65,000 bonus up in your bank account. All right, so the Super Bowl winning team, they're gonna get an extra $150,000. Now that's added to the conference title that they went to and any divisional or wild card games that they went to. You accumulate all that together, you add it to that $150, and that's why we're saying earlier you're gonna get close to $300,000 extra just for playing 4 or 5 more games. Now the NFL set it up perfectly, and the Players Association make sure that they get a cut too. You know, because we got fans, we got the concession stands, we got all the people coming to the games, and those TV rights are in the billions. And the players just want to make sure that they get their cut too, because they are a major part of the entertainment. And as you know, the Super Bowl is sometimes known as the unofficial holiday of America because everybody's watching it. A real quick stat, and just put it right here, 112 million people watched the game where Dr. Dre and them were the headlining for the halftime show and when the Rams took that W. What about the losing team? The losing team in the NFL playoffs, when they make it all the way to the Super Bowl and lose that game, they still get $75,000, and that's not bad because you got to understand it was really hard to get themselves there, and they were part of the biggest show on the biggest stage. Everybody gets $75,000. That's pretty nice. Now, in the playoffs, if you were listed active or even inactive at least 3 games before those playoffs or before the Super Bowl, you still get that full check. So they have little stipulations where you have to be on the actual roster, and that's why everybody works so hard and they feel blessed to have additional playoff games where they can make a little extra paycheck, gain a little bit more experience, and really try to help their team win. And that's what it's all about. Working hard, get the wins for the organization, not just for yourself. So when they do that, everybody gets a little change. Now the interesting part is people who were injured during those same times, they still get paid. If you remember in the Super Bowl, one of the flags was thrown when a hurt and injured player actually came out to celebrate on one of the first touchdowns. He got fined. I think he got fined like $25,000. But at the end of the day, he's making $150,000 for that game. So I think he's pretty happy about that. But you got to know, because you are injured and you're on the roster, still getting paid, my friend. And the best part is, if you played at least 8 games in the regular season and you got injured and you're still part of the team, those paychecks are still coming to you. You can't just be completely off the roster, been injured the entire season. So when you hear things like, oh, this person's gonna get hurt or he's not coming back, he still gets a check as long as his name is still on the roster and his team still plays well. There are different stipulations where if you were not at least on 3 of those rosters for the previous 3 games, but yet your team is still doing well and you're still on the roster, you get a half a share of the winnings for each playoff games all the way up to the Super Bowl. And to me, that's a pretty good company to work with. All right, so it's pretty exciting to actually make it to the playoffs and start really catching those bonuses. But don't forget, the NFL has inside their contracts certain bonuses features such as catch a certain amount of passes, bonus. get a couple of sacks per game, because it's not easy to get 2 sacks a game, my friend. But if you start to average that, bonus. The famous one is a particular mention of the NBA, where they were literally paying Dennis Rodman to get additional rebounds, and for each rebound he got, he was getting like $5,000 to $10,000 extra. That was over the protocol of what the average NBA player rebounding person should be getting. So these bonuses are set up into different people's contracts, and that happens all the time. So in the NFL, that's kind of how they have it set up, where you can get additional bonuses for performing very well while you're playing on the field, such as catching additional passes, tackling more than normal, sacking the quarterback more than normal, and just being an all-around good quarterback as well, completing your passes more than normal. And they just look at your stats to make sure that you can actually perform past the standard that everybody else is at, and that's why you're going to get those bonuses. All right, so that's one of the reasons why people are so excited when they do that extra catch, when they get that extra yard, and the fans go crazy too, because it's exciting as well. So it's kind of a win-win situation. The fans are happy, the players are happy, the coaches are happy, and you want to stay focused on trying to do your best out there, because it ain't easy to be an NFL player, man. You got 300-pound dudes chasing you and trying to tackle you. You got the ball in your hand, and you need to run at like. You need to run 40 yards in like 4.5 seconds just to make yourself a noteworthy player and try to score for your team. So when you see some of these football games where the score is like 20 to 23, 14 to 7, it's because it's a hard grind out there. And the bonuses help. The humongous contracts help. Staying healthy helps. Try not to get injured. All that stuff really does help, because at the end of the day, everybody's trying to win a bowl. And why are you trying to win a bowl? It's a massive $300,000 extra in your pocket. Let's continue about these people who are winning these Super Bowls. First of all, one of the main questions is who gets rings? All the rings are going to 150 people in that winning squad. So that counts as some support staff, mostly executives, all the players, the 53-man roster, all the coaches, the assistant coaches, so everybody's getting rings, right? But here's one that a lot of people didn't know. The losing team gets rings too. And with that said, their ring says conference winners for that division, the AFC or the NFC. It's not going to say the Super Bowl. That goes to the actual Super Bowl winning team. And that's pretty great. Another thing that people didn't know is the referees get rings too. Of course, they're not decked out. They're not iced out like the other championship rings are. But they at least get rings for being the last game of the season that they played was actually in the Super Bowl. So a lot of people don't like the refs making bad calls. This past Super Bowl, people were heated that the refs were missing calls, and they think that could have been a high determination of how the game came out. But at the end of the day, those referees get nice rings too. Let's talk about the cost of these rings. Some of these rings are ranging from $36,000 and up. $36,000 per player. So we're talking about, when it totals up, we're talking about like $5.4 million. And that's nothing to shake a stick at. According to overthecap.com, some of the top NFL players are making buku bucks. But you gotta think, there's hundreds and hundreds of players on the NFL team, but only 34 of them are making $20 million and up. And there's only one of them, Patrick Mahoney, making $45 million, and he's got like 2 or 3 people chasing him behind. If you see my other video, you'll see that Lamar Jackson is set to make $40 million a year, which is really incredible, and it shows you what type of players these guys are. And what's interesting is there is a minimum payment plan for each player. Some people, if you're like on the practice squad, you can make up to $14,000 just for being there every week, and you can easily be called up to play in the actual game, depending on who's injured, depending on how well you're doing. But they have a minimum of $36,000 per week per game. Now, in an 18-week season is pretty incredible, because if you're slightly above the average, which is like $42,000, you're making $808,000 for that season, and that's really incredible for basically a minimum wage NFL player. That's some incredible numbers, $808,000. You're not nowhere near the other 34 top players who are making $20 million a season, but it's pretty damn good to be playing football, a game that you love, a game that you work so hard for, and you're almost a millionaire. And if you save your money and work your money correctly, by year 2, you are a millionaire. And that was a quick wrap up of who gets rings and how much money these players are making in the playoffs. We'll see you next time on the next Super Bowl when we see who's going to make it, who's going to do great. And if you watch this video, you'll know how much money everyone is making. Peace.
Business fans only. This podcast is on fire. Finally, a home for fans of the business world.